I'm Catherine Fall, and I'm in the program of Comparative Humanities.
And could you tell us about the John Smith Trail project, and specifically how you use GIS for that project?
The project was sponsored by the Chesapeake Conservancy, and it was basically to make an argument for the inclusion of the Susquehanna River into the John Smith Historic Trail. And so myself and a team of researchers a year and a half ago worked over the summer to basically collate all the historical and archaeological reports that pertain to the period of contact in the 17th century between John Smith and the Susquehannock Indians. And the way in which that information was best arranged was actually through using GIS and mapping the Susquehanna River along with all of the Indian paths and the Indian settlements of the major Indian populations in the beginning of the 17th century. And to be honest, the central part of the project and the impact of the project would not have been possible without having used GIS. That it would have been very difficult for anyone to read a narrative argument that was as powerful as actually just one of the maps that was constructed from using GIS.
So what new insights or understandings did you achieve by seeing this historic information in a map form?
Well, the most obvious was seeing the reach of the Susquehannock culture and settlement patterns along the Susquehanna from Smith Falls on the Chesapeake Bay all the way up to the Great Island on the west branch of the Susquehanna and to Cooperstown on the north branch. I mean, that was the visual impact, really, was being able to see those areas of concentrated settlement and also the paths which show the movement of populations from one part of Pennsylvania or New York State down to Maryland, which I think was, again, has been represented in narrative form, but when you see it actually represented in map form, you have one snapshot that is able to give you a cross-section of historical and cultural data. To be able to take historic archival material, such as maps, from the 18th century, the peri-contact period in Pennsylvania in the 18th century, to have those georectified, to be able to then place the information out of the data sets that had been used to construct the other modern maps, and to see how they correlated then with the modern maps. And also to take John Smith's map, the one that he drew in 1612, and to be able to georectify that and to do two versions of georectification based on two different scholarly arguments. And that was really, again, one of those moments where when our audience saw that data represented through GIS, they sort of went, oh, which was great. It was wonderful.
I know another one of those moments was when you showed some of the Native American sacred places against current locations of Marcellus shale oil wells.
Mm-hmm.
Could you tell us, what types of impacts you think overlaying those types of information will have?
Well, GIS allowed us to do that, to take, for example, a hand-drawn map from 1768, which shows very detailed information about the north branch of the Susquehanna River and the flora, and to use that as a base layer, then superimpose on top of that streams and river layer, and then on top of that Indian paths, Indian settlements, and then on top of that the gas and oil well drilling information. That was a moment which made not just the Native American groups on the North Branch, but also the local people who live along the North Branch sit back and realize what was being done and what kind of damage to their cultural heritage and environmental heritage was possible right now. So those maps, that kind of information, that visualization of historical and contemporary data has had an enormous impact in making people care about where they live and what happens to it.